What's up, y'all? It's Michael. Welcome to the Backwoods Life podcast. I don't know. I'm on episode, I think, 72 now. So creeping up on 100. I know I've been on a bit of a hiatus, I guess is the best way to put it. But we had this thing called hunting season that kicked in. And I was busy. So here we are. We're back. New year for 24, new season. I'm going to try to do probably 10 episodes per season. So this would be like episode 70 something, season 7. Let's go with that for 1,000, Alex, right? Hope everybody's been doing good. Hope everybody had a safe holiday season and a happy new year. Here we are on January 30th now. So we're creeping up on February, which means we're creeping up on the NWTF show in Nashville, which I'll be at. I'll be there on that Friday. So if you're listening to this and you're at NWTF show, just keep an eye out on our social media platforms and you'll see where we're going to be at NWTF. We got a few partners that are going to be at the NWTF show in Nashville. So we will be there as well. And if you hear dings during this podcast, it's just because I don't know how to turn off notifications for my text messages on this thing. So, welcome to technology and lack their knowledge of by myself. So with that being said, keep an eye on social media. We'll hope to meet a bunch of you all at NWTF show. That'd be awesome to cross paths. So what I really want to dive into today, other than we had a phenomenal deer season and just got back from a duck hunt, had first time shot ducks in years. So that was a lot of fun. And I think we got 109 in 3 days. So that's a pretty good run from what I hear. I'm not a duckologist, but that sounds like a good time, right? And it was. I think with my buddy Brantley Gilbert and a bunch of our friends. We just had like a guy's trip to Tennessee to Mounted State Outfitter. It was a heck of a good time. I would recommend doing that for anybody. The weather was kind of rough. It rained a couple of the 3 days. So, but hey, ducks like rain. It was good. We had fun. We shot some ducks. So that's what it's all about. But again, what I want to jump into today is I post on Facebook on Michael E. page quite often for topics to talk about on podcasts. Some of them are good, some I don't know a lot about, so I don't want to talk about a bunch of stuff I really don't know about. But one that kind of stuck out to me along the lines of deer hunting is, which to you is the real trophy, the antler inches or the buck's age? Well, that's a subjective question because I think a lot of people out there really go hunting and then they kind of adapt on the fly. Like there's some hardcore guys out there that really put a lot of time and effort into aging deer. They really want to shoot them when they're 5, 6, 7. I've heard places up to 9 years old when they finally want to tag a buck or whatever. But in my neck of the woods down here where we live, a buck's doing good to get 3.5, 4.5 years old. I'll be honest with you. I just think that like most people, they sit and they say they're hunting for age, but they really hunt for antler size unless they're really hardcore and they've done a ton of homework to recognize and know all of the deer on their property, which is really hard to do. I mean, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot just to get deer to that age. And unless you've got the right structure, you've got the right, I guess for lack of a better term, just enough land to make it happen. It's hard to do that on 125 acres unless you've got, neighbors that are hardcore and to manage and to help you out. I'm not really sure if a lot of us can pull that off to say every deer is going to get to this age before we're going to squeeze that trigger. But from my personal standpoint, I do try to look at their bodies. I do try to look at that's a mature deer. Now, mature deer, by definition of the Quality Deer Management Association, is anything that's 3.5 or older. And it's all subjective to where you're at. If you're in Iowa and you got 2,000 acres, you got a thick wood lot in the middle surrounded by 1,000 acres of fields, you can probably let deer get old as you want. But what I've learned down here is even if you have that age structure in place, there's so many bucks that will be on your property early season that most of them were going to leave except for a few. Not your smaller, 1 and 2 year old deer. They're just not as, they're pretty active, but they're just not, they're not going to really do what the mature bucks do. The mature bucks, once they start the rut, you're not going to have 5 mature bucks stay within, a little small section of property because they're just not going to tolerate each other. They're going to run each other off. I've seen it so many times. We this year, for a great example, we did take 3 mature bucks off our property that we all think were 4.5, 5.5 years old, which is very good season by our terms. But there's also several other bucks that are probably that same age structure that they either, I know the neighbors took a couple of them or they just disappeared. I mean, either they found another spot to be, they were taken by neighbors that we didn't know about. But I think if you're going to try to get all of your mature bucks to a certain age before you squeeze that trigger, you're going to have an uphill battle. It's just going to be tough in this part of the country. I'm not saying it can't be done if you've got enough land and you got enough cooperation around you, but it's hard to get everybody on the same page. Because I think a lot of guys, going back to the antler inches thing, is they see a deer in the woods, they have to make a quick judgment call, and then they shoot, and then they get over there, and it's either exactly what they thought or smaller. Very rarely does it happen where, oh, this buck's way bigger than I thought he was. That to me anyway, that's only happened a few times in my life. So with that being said, it's kind of up to the hunter. I don't think it's really a decision that anybody should make and stick to hardcore to say it's all about inches or all about age. It could be a healthy combination of both. So, with that being said, me personally, I really think you should just go hunt. I think another topic I'm going to hit on in another podcast is the trail camera situation. But I really think that trail cameras can hurt or help you either way. That's another whole topic. But now in the trail camera era, it does get a lot of deer seen where you can try to age them. You can try to put an antler size score on them, but I don't think it's a good thing all the way around. It's a useful tool, but I think people take it too far. So like I said, we'll jump into that on another topic. But the real trophy to me personally is whatever you're happy with. If that's trying to shoot a 5.5, 6.5-year-old deer, and that's what, and no matter what he scores, because I shot a buck this past fall that was 115, 120 inch deer, but I know he was 5.5 years old. One of the heaviest bucks we've ever taken on that property. Just having a history with that deer on trail cameras. I identified him. I knew who he was. Knew he was a mature buck, no doubt. And I took him. I'm glad I did. I'm proud of him. It was a great hunt. He came in there following a doe into an Antler King food plot early November, just textbook first week of November hunt. And had a lot of fun, made a good shot. He went about 80 yards piled up. But, the other couple bucks we shot that were of mature age, what we call it, 4 or 5 years old, they were 135, 140 inch deer, which for that part of the country are really good bucks on our lease. And that's what we try to shoot. So for anybody that's listening to this that hunts around us, help us out. Be patient. Try to let these deer get a little bit older. Try to let them score over 120. Try not to shoot them shoot a 15-inch wide 8-point that's 2 or 3 years old, because he could be a really nice deer in a couple of years. There's a lot of battles that we have with an 8-point genetic, and that's a hard battle to overcome because you can't really control that. That comes from the buck and the doe, and you have no way to know what a doe is going to produce. If it's 8-point gene in her, then that's just what it is. But I tell everybody, a lot of places, especially Texas, are huge on the management side. These ranches have enough land and they have enough deer where they can shoot every 8-point off the property, or try to. I don't think they're ever going to do it, but they can try to. Where we don't have the luxury to do that. If we start shooting every 8-point we see, we're going to shoot most of our deer, and that's not a good thing. So that's a whole nother podcast as well, is managing the herd within reasons and having realistic expectations on that. But I don't know, the real trophy to me is whatever I like. If that's a 8-point that's 5 years old, then fine. If it's a 8-point that's 3 years old and that's what you want to shoot, then that's fine with you. If it's a 10-point that's 2 years old, that's your choice. I think most guys out there, if 150, 170-inch deer walked out, no doubt, they're not going to look and see how old he is. They're just going to see that big rack and they're going to squeeze that trigger. And I'm not mad at them for that. I mean, I'm right there with you. If a 2-year-old buck that's 170 inches walked out, which is probably extremely rare, most people are going to shoot it. That's just the way it is. So, I guess you can't have your cake and eat it too. But in theory, if you manage your herd right and they've got ample food, you can have antler inches and age structure all working together for you. It's very hard. And from my standpoint, it's very expensive unless you just really have a diamond in the rough and have the right property. So with that being said, to each their own on the trophy side. And if you're watching this, please comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on what's a trophy to you. Is that 3.5-year-old buck, or is that a 5.5, 7.5-year-old buck? Or do you just strictly look and say, hey, I want to shoot an 8-point, or I want to shoot a 150-inch deer? I was in a hunting club for a long time, and in that part of the world, we didn't have a lot of big deer by any means. So it was 8-point, 12 inches wide. That was our minimum. But we had a minimum. We had a start point. We had somewhere to learn, and we had somewhere to go from. I think a lot of people go into it blind, and they want to have big deer, but they don't want to have a management plan. And then you get some people that make an excuse to shoot a deer and say, oh, that was a cull buck. Well, not necessarily. If you let them get 4, 5, 6 years old, then you can say he's a cull, I guess. But at 2 and 3, you don't know. You don't know what that deer is going to be. 8 points usually going to stay 8-point unless you can see some little bitty nubs out there that might turn into G4s, or, but the thing with it too, let that 8-point get 5, 6 years old. He may have some kickers grow off his bases, or split brow tines, or split G2s, and makes him extra points, and that makes him score a lot better. Something to think about. Age is crucial in size. There's no doubt about that. Age, nutrition, and keeping your numbers in check. That's my thoughts on the real trophy antlers, inches, or buck's age. So hope that answers your question. Hope you have a great time. It's February. I'm sorry, almost February. It's January. Turkey season's coming. Y'all get ready for that. Get out there, work in the woods, have some fun while this weather's nice outside. I know some of y'all are probably freezing, but down here in the south, we're pretty nice right now. It's highs about 60 today and sun shining. So get outside, do some work in the woods. This is a great time for us to go in and do that stuff that we don't want to do in the summertime, but also get ready for turkey season and enjoy it outdoors. So check out Backwoods Life, Sportsman Channel, Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. We've got 3 or 4 errands a week over there. We've got 4 or 5 errands on Hunt Channel. If y'all get that, download that on your streaming platforms. Check us out. We've got tons of videos on our YouTube. We're rolling out stuff every week. That's the Backwoods Life on YouTube. Thank all of y'all that subscribe and follow on there. We're over 145,000 followers, I think, right around that ballpark now. And hopefully we'll keep that growing to 200, 300,000, in the next year or so. But thank all y'all for listening. I'm Michael Lee. Check us out at backwoodslife.com. See y'all next time.